ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Rock Nerd Radio Show. As always, I'm Dan, the host of this program, and I'm joined by a very special guest this time around. You might know him from the fantastic custom sign work that he does for your display shelf. If you ever want to treat your shelf, this is the man you want to reach out to. From DBlakeMakes, it's Damion. Damion, how you doing, man?
Hey Dan, how you doing? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm glad to see you on here. We've met a number of times in person.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
now we're chatting via Zoom. Why not?
Two ships in the night. We keep trying to get on this podcast, and we just keep missing each other. But finally, the stars have aligned, and here we are, and just hanging out, just like at the shows, man. It's always great to see and chat with you.
There we go. Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time. I know it is a possibly a busy Wednesday evening as of this recording. I don't know about you, but I haven't watched the first episode of Mandalorian season 3 yet.
Nope, me neither.
So that's my plan after this tonight. But not that
Definitely.
I'm going to rush you through or anything.
Right. It's funny. I binge watched the first two seasons. Like I was just like, I don't know, something about the shows kind of I wasn't into in the beginning. And then season 2 had just ended like the day before. And I was like, let me see what this is all about. And I started season 1, episode 1. And then I literally finished all 2 seasons within like the end of the week.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is amazing. Like, okay, this is so good. Like, I need more. And now I have 2 young daughters, 6 and 8. And my 6-year-old is obsessed with Grogu, AKA Baby Yoda. So she's got Baby Yoda everything in her room. She's got the dolls, she's got the toys, she's got plushies, you name it. So like I was like, girls, why don't we like sit down and like actually watch The Mandalorian so you can kind of see where the Grogu, and you can stop calling him Baby Yoda, and you can see where he's from and the story of him and everything. So this past weekend we actually sat down, we watched the first 2 episodes. They seemed into it, but attention span of kids is like it's pulling teeth. But it allowed me to enjoy it more because it's watching it again now, knowing kind of what happens. It's so much more fun the second time around.
Awesome. Yeah, I got to say, when the show started, I was hooked immediately. I thought it was cool. I dug the action. I was watching it with my wife, and she was like, all right, it's okay. And then as soon as that first episode, he pulls the blanket down, and there was Grogu. Then she was hooked. She was like, no, wait, like I need to make sure nothing happens to him. We need to watch every episode.
What happens to the baby? I know they're like they're gonna give the baby away, and I was like, sure, he needs the money. This is a job for him, So they don't know what happens yet because he just got the baby, and they're going back to turn him in. So
right,
I'm gonna personally watch episode 3, season 3. I'm gonna watch it on my own. So
I get it.
To wait for them.
But you saying your daughter has a bunch of the Baby Yoda stuff. My wife and I are expecting any day now. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, and like all my coworkers, family, friends, they all know we like Star Wars. So the amount of like Baby Yoda onesies and blankets and jackets, like it's enough to choke a horse, So.
Absolutely. You have to get the bassinet that looks like the little eggshell thing.
I wanted to. Some things I get vetoed on. Sometimes it's a little too much.
Like that's a little too much, hun. Or some kind of like cosplay carriage,
Yeah, right.
Hey man, that would be great. If you got yourself a little Mando armor, and then make a carriage, and just a big egg around it or something, and you go to the conventions.
Yeah,
the way to take the baby.
There we go. But part of me, like,
your wife could be Cara Dune.
We've already decided, like, first Halloween, it's the baby's gonna be Baby Yoda, and we're gonna be Mando and Cara Dune. That's it.
Yeah. Knock it out. That's what's up, dude. That's so good. I love it. That'd be great.
So well, I could sit here all night and talk about Star Wars and Mandalorian, but I want to focus on you for a little while because you do something that I've never seen anyone else do. And you have mastered not only what you produce, but the way that you show it off on social media with the videos and the reels that you're putting up. You basically make signs for collector displays. Yeah. And I don't know how else to describe it other than they're awesome. The first time I saw you at a show, I walked by and like stopped. And, sometimes it's that first lap around the showroom floor where you don't really plan on buying anything. You just want to scope everything out. And it was that. And like you were at the end of an aisle, and I walked down and I was like, no, I'm spending money here. Like this is it. And I immediately bought one of the signs. And, I went home and I put it up on the shelf, and And every time I see you at a convention now, I end up buying more.
Hmm.
So how did you have this idea? Like, how did you come up with it?
So, I mean, I've been a collector forever, since I was a teenager back in the 90s, dating myself here. Always been a collector. And I don't know, like, I guess when COVID hit, it affected collecting a lot for everybody,
Oh yeah,
and people were sitting at home and collecting went through the roof, skyrocketing. People were adjusting their displays and really, really doing it. Like before COVID, I think everyone just kind of had displays, like just had a shelf, you know. There were a few of us, that had more than one shelf, but I think like it just, everybody was retreated into their own homes and they wanted to make it their escape and really just blow it up. So I don't know where I was or what I was looking at, but I saw somebody like cutting out the cardboard from their packaging and using that as a sign for their shelf. I was like, you know what, that's cool, but I want to do it like I want to really do it like nice. And I was just getting into 3D printing. I had just gotten my first 3D printer. Before then, I was making custom accessories and chains and tendrils and stuff like that for the figures. And I just used that money and bought a 3D printer, and I said, I'm going to teach myself how to make a sign for my display. And I made a Spider-Man and I made a Venom sign and I put them up on my displays. And I was like, that looks amazing. Like, I love that. And at the time, social media, Facebook groups, toy groups were big. And they had like Shelfie Saturday, show us your shelves. And I was showing off my Spidey shelf. And everyone's like, where did you get that Spider-Man and Venom signs? I was like, oh, I made them. And they're like, would you make an X-Men one and or an X-Force or this or that? And I was like, sure. And they're like, what would you charge for it? And I'm just like, that as a graphic designer is probably the hardest thing, is to price your own work, and what do you value your time as? Because, materials and skill are one thing, but the labor is really what you charge. And I was like, oh no, like $20. And they're like, sold, I'll take 4 of them. And I was like, whoa, okay, maybe there's something to this. And it just exploded and snowballed from there. And I was getting people left and right and all the toy groups sharing me on Facebook and getting orders from there. And then like, you need to start an Instagram page. I was like, okay. So I started an Instagram page, and then I started blowing up on Instagram, and then you have to go do toy shows. And I was like, okay. So I started sourcing toy shows, and, I have a toy show that's literally a mile away from me. I'm down in Toms River, New Jersey, Jersey Shore.
oh okay.
Yes, that Jersey Shore. Um, and there's a toy show literally about a mile away from me. So I was like, let me cut my teeth on that, and check it out. And did really well at that, and started doing bigger, larger conventions, and it just exploded, man. It's just been absolutely crazy. I never realized how many people really wanted to display their shelves like that, and it really takes your collection to another level. It really just shows off your display, and just like, here's my X-Men display, here's my Spider-Man display, here's black, I'm really into Black Panther, here's my Black Panther display, or X-Force, or X Factor. So there's just so many teams and so many branches, and now I'm doing horror stuff, I'm doing music stuff, I'm doing movie stuff now. It's just really crazy. I've done some sports stuff. Car guys come to me and they want me to do their custom car club stuff.
Oh wow.
I'm just like, I have to draw the line somewhere. I have to draw the line somewhere. So I'm trying to just keep it to comics and action figures.
That's
So
awesome.
that's my origin story. Is I wanted to make something cool for me, and other people liked it, and so I started making for everyone else.
Awesome. And I mean, every time I'm at your booth, there's always people. There are a couple of like the people who kind of pace back and forth. I know it is like, oh,
Hmm.
do I want that? Like that. And then there are the people who, and I'm one of them, who will stand there and talk to you for 20 minutes.
Yep, yep,
And
absolutely. And that's why I love doing the shows, man, because I just meet so many cool people. I've gotten such a great group of people that I interact with almost daily on Instagram. A lot of them are local, so they always come to the shows, and it's so good to actually see them. I've made friends with a lot of, the vendors and other vendors at the shows, and toy shops like Chubsy Wubsy up in Little Falls. And, I talk to Chubsy weekly almost. And, he's got all of my signs in his toy store, showing off his wherever he's selling X-Men, he's got an X-Men sign. Wherever he's selling NECA, he's got a NECA sign. So he's got it all up in this shop. So it's just been such a great way to interact with people and see people face to face. And like I said, I'll get people. Some people just come to my table and talk to me for 20 minutes and not buy a damn thing. That's fine. Like, I'm not, I get in your head, and then you'll come back eventually.
Right.
But again, it's really just so great to meet people at these shows and stuff. If you buy something, that's great. If you don't, we've created a great connection, and I appreciate that just as much.
Awesome. And it really is like honestly talking with you now feels like someone who I've been friends with forever because of how long we talk at shows. But
Hmm.
like really like it really is just so to me just so original. And I can't stress that enough, just like how cool it makes my shelves look. And you can see behind me a couple of my shelves have your signs. I need to put
Yep.
more on the rest of them. But and it'll
Yeah.
happen. But
And
but
behind me as well, I'm my biggest customer, right?
well, yeah,
So I
like I
mean,
even see, like you said, the horror. I see you got Jaws behind you. You have your own logo
yeah,
behind you, so that's awesome,
yeah,
man. But
yeah.
one of the funny things that literally just happened as I was getting ready to record with you now. I was talking about how nice you've been responding to me and stuff to my wife, and she says, and like this rarely happens because in the relationship I am the nerdy one. Like she can get into my stuff. She'll go see the movies and watch the shows, but
Hmm.
I'm the one with all the 30 some odd years of knowledge and stuff. So as I was getting ready to come downstairs and record, she was like, "Oh yeah, he does so much cool stuff," and I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I follow him Instagram too. It's super interesting." And I was like, "You're not even like buying this stuff, but you're into it. That's awesome."
Yeah, that's great. I had people, I do when I'm painting these, I do them live on Instagram. I was doing them on YouTube, and that's just not my format. It's a lot going on YouTube. It's just easy. I do it on Instagram. I go live, and so I did a quick batch, like an hour last night. And a couple dozen people jump in. They come through. They stop for a minute. They say hi. They go out. They come back or whatever. And some people, many people don't have never bought from me, and they just come in and just like, this is so amazing to watch. This is like, I had one person come in yesterday, and they're like, this is the greatest thing to watch before going to sleep. I was like, well, gee, thanks. Am I boring you? And they're like, no, it's just like therapeutic, like watching the paint like go into the signs, and because I don't just 3D print different layers of filament, different colors. There are other people out there. There's competition, right? I'm not blind to that, and great for everybody. There's something for everybody. I am the only one painting these with enamel paints. It's like a big enamel pin, basically, with a recessed area, and then I paint those. I just like the look it gives a much more vibrant, shiny, I have a Marvel one here for those that are watching
Hey, there
the
you
show
go.
later, right? So I don't know if this flips over on Zoom or not. Can you see it straight? Because
Oh
it's
yeah,
backwards for
it
me.
looks great on
Okay,
mine.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, good. So yeah, so I have a Marvel one here, and it's just the shine and the pop is great. You're not going to get this kind of shine from the guys that are doing this in different colors of filament. There are guys that'll make a red brick and then print white Marvel on top of that red brick, basically, and that's great. That's fine. They sell it for a lot cheaper than I do. It's just that's what it is. But going back to people following me on Instagram. I'm sorry, go on a tangent.
No, it's fine.
It's just fun. It's just fun. Like if I'm going to be sitting there painting these for shows or for sale, why not do it live and hang out with people, and they can watch the process too. I don't hide anything. I show everybody how I do what I do it. And there are people that have tried doing what I do, and then they message me, they're like, what am I doing wrong? And they're like, and I'm like, you're not me. you know what am I doing wrong is, there are some things I don't show you off camera. There's ways to prepping these to hold the paint the right way and stuff like that. But it's really fun to be live with people and just interact with the community. I just love the toy community so much. And I'm there's a streamer on YouTube, Rocco the Great. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's a great guy. He's actually pretty local to me. He calls me the mayor, and it's because when I'm at the toy shows, everybody stops at my table. Everybody knows me. I see everybody. I'm also I'm self-declared a Switzerland. I don't get involved in any drama. I
Right.
don't get involved in what the turtle guys against the Hasbro guys or any. I don't get involved in anybody's toy drama. They're toys, right? We're here to collect toys and collect what we love.
Yeah.
So I don't get involved in any of that stuff. I'm just here to have a good time with good people, and make cool things for your cool collections.
That's awesome. That's incredible to hear. And just, I feel like sometimes it's got to be a little hard when I'm sure people kind of bombard you with some of the drama that might be going on, and I'm sure that's probably the least fun
I
part.
get it sometimes. Yeah, I mean sometimes like, I don't do a lot of streaming. Like I don't do a lot of like guest spots on shows. I'll be on this person's YouTube channel or this person's Instagram channel every now and then. I get scheduled. And you'll get somebody that'll DM me and be like, "Oh, you shouldn't go do that guy's show. There's a lot of drama on their page and this and that." And I'm like, "Why? Like it doesn't involve me. The drama's not in part of me. If they want my time, and I thank them for their time, because they want me on their show. I'm going to come hang out with you guys. If it gets awkward or something, then I'll just dismiss myself, but, excuse myself. But I've never had that. I've never had a problem with anybody. There are people that make drama. There are people that message me about drama. And I'm Switzerland, man. I'm totally neutral. I'm just here to have a good time with everybody. And, I don't want to give anybody ever a reason to think ill of me, you know?
I get that.
And that's my thing. It's like I just want everybody to love what I do. And I have views, I have politics, I have my own views on things, I have my own beliefs in things, religious, politics, you name it. I leave it on the table. I don't bring it into the toy community. I don't bring it on my community in my channels or anything like that. I'm just here to hang out and have a good time and put all that negativity and all those crazy thoughts aside.
I like that. That's a great policy. To go back on something you touched on a couple minutes ago, you mentioned how your process of making these signs is different than some other people's. Like you said, some people just 3D print. So without giving away too much, because I know you said there's some prepping that you do off camera. So do you like 3D print? I guess like a base that has like raised edges that will then
Yeah,
hold the paint.
it's a recessed. Yeah, it's basically a negative. It's a recessed area. If you look at any of my signs, you'll see. There's a depth to them.
Right.
There's and so for instance, like the Marvel one, or even like my Black Panther one I've got right here.
Right. Ooh, that's
The
beautiful.
the back the border is raised, and then there's about a 2 millimeter recessed area that I call the shadow. That I call it. It's a blank that I put behind it, and then basically I combine the two, and now I've got a little tray basically that I fill with the paint.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I just give it a little bit of finishing. So like the Black Panther, I give it a gold finish,
Mm-hmm.
to really just make it pop. Or I've got more Marvels over here. I've got Nightmare on Elm Street,
Oh wow.
so I do that in white with some red on there. And I love the enamel paint because it's durable. It's not going to scuff or scratch or get fingerprints. It cleans up nicely, and it's got a beautiful shine to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
People have asked me if I can do them in matte finish as well, but I could, or flat or matte, but I just love the look of the gloss. The gloss paint is just it really makes it pop. I
I
don't
mean,
care for a matte finish.
yeah, and
Personally.
that's what I was gonna say. You took the words out of my mouth. It does make it pop. Like the ones that I have from you on my shelves, walking by it, the light hits it, and you're just like, oh wow. And since
Yeah.
but the last time I saw you was Legions Con, so I bought I think 4 or 5 of them at Legions Con, 6 of them. And since then, people who have come over and hung out with me, like they're drawn right to it. And the nice thing
Hmm.
is, most of my friends who are coming down here, like they can tell, okay, that's your shelf of your Wolverine characters, and here's your X Force guys. But like now, the people who might not know that are like, oh, is this X Force? Because that's the sign. So like in a way, it's helpful. I'm not going to
Yeah.
see
Right.
what's on my
Right.
shelf anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've got people that come back. They might have just had all of their Marvel figures in one spot, right? And then they see my table, and then you can see the gears turning in their head,
Yeah.
right? And they stop and they're looking at my table, and they're just looking, and I can see them. I can almost see their thoughts going on right now. And then they end up getting an X-Men and an X-Force and an X-Factor and a Wolverine, because then they go home and now they've separated their team, their main collection into teams now, and now they come
Let's see
back
what
and
I
then they
did back
message
then.
me. That's what you did, right? So that's what people do is they go out, they take, now they're taking their displays and they're separating them, and now they have all their Spideys in one spot and all of their X-Force in one spot. And some people have West Coast X-Men, East Coast X-Men, X Force, X Factor, X-Men Gray, right? So they're like, oh man, I need another Wolverine. So now they're going out and buying more figures to finish their complete. I'm an enabler,
You're
right?
helping
So
everybody, man.
exactly. So now, they've bought the sign for me, but now they need this one more figure to complete that team because they had him, but that person was on both teams at one point. So now they want him on both teams. So it's really fun to see how people separate those, and now like, I've got Galactus now. So, people have the Galactus. I see you've got him back
Yep,
there.
he's
So,
back there.
yeah. So like people were hounding me and they're like, I need a Galactus sign. I was like, all right, you want one just for him? Okay. And so I had to make a really, really big Galactus sign. So,
I feel like you
this
showed me
one,
like a prototype of that at that back at Legion's Con.
yeah. So Legion's Con, it was literally made it that week for
Okay.
Legion's Con, and I made 4 of them for the show. And 2 of them got damaged because I didn't give them enough time for the paint to cure.
Okay.
And so 2 of them unfortunately were damaged, and the 2 that I had I ended up selling at the show. So I made a whole bunch more. I have to do the purple. I do a purple gradient fade on the bottoms to make it look beautiful. So, but yeah, I mean this one's going on like almost 13 inches across, which is, you need that for that big of a figure.
Yeah.
You can't just have, most of my signs, Marvel is 7.5 to 8 inches. Most of them are 7.5 to 8 inches because I'm not trying to take away from your collection. It's to amplify your collection. It's to show off your collection, and if you've got a bigger sign, it's going to hide behind the figures are going to hide behind it, So I try to keep them in a specific size so that they don't, overpower your collection. So with Galactus, even he's 3 feet tall, so a 13-inch sign isn't going to overpower Galactus.
Right.
Try to scale it.
Great. I like. I mean, that's showing me too that you really do care about putting all this stuff up, because I'm sure some people would just be like, yeah, 13-inch sign, whatever, here it is, sticking on your shelf. But here you are, you're figuring based on the scale of the figure, things like that. So that's great to hear, and I think it shows the difference between maybe you and someone who's just trying to make a quick buck, because you are a collector. So you're going to be passionate about what's on your shelf versus someone who just wants to sell their product and doesn't care.
Yep. Yeah, I'm a collector myself. That's I'm a collector making for collectors, and that brings it. That makes it still. It's a passion project for me. It's very much a passion project. I really enjoy. Every single one. I've made thousands of these at this point, and every single one I don't get tired of making them yet. As I was painting them last night, I did a batch this afternoon as well, just to try to get ready for some shows coming up, and X-Men signs. I've made hundreds of X-Men signs, right? Because they're one of my more popular ones. And I did up a batch of X-Men signs this afternoon, and I was doing it. I was like, man, this sucks. It's like, I'm thinking to myself, it's so tedious because I've just done so many of them, but it's like muscle memory at the same point. So like, as I'm doing it, I'm like, this sucks, but they look so awesome.
Right.
No matter how many I've done, I'm just like, they just look so awesome. There I got right here. The paint is still a little goopy, but
oh, beautiful.
You've got them back there.
I've got them back there. Yeah, I think
for the people tuning in,
blue and silver. I think that's the one I got.
Yeah. So I got to make a batch of those too. So this is the red and yellow. I've got to make the blue and gray, and then I've got to do some blue and yellows. So there's. Not only do I have 180 different designs, I've got probably 2 or 3 color variants of every one of them.
Right.
So it makes a lot for a portfolio.
Yeah. Well, speaking of portfolios, I do have two inquiries. I don't want to say demands or requests or anything.
Okay.
But so my main X-Men shelf, but you can see the Sentinel behind me. Mm-hmm. That is like the 90s X-Men, because that was when I got into comics, and X-Men because of the cartoon show. That's what pulled me in.
Totally.
So X Factor, X-Men, X-Force, but the other team that's up there, and there's only four team members at the moment from Hasbro, is Excalibur. You plan on ever doing, because like I want to stick an Excalibur sign right next to that X-Men.
Yeah, I do have an Excalibur sign. I have the yellow and blue, yellow and red Excalibur, where it kind of like fades out and the R is like really tiny and the E is large. And then I am trying to work on the one with the sword, that version.
Yeah. See, that was the one
So
I loved.
yes, that you know, I like a challenge. Some of them are more challenging than others because
Okay.
you almost have to think backwards on how you're going to make them, because I have to think about how I want to raise the layers to accept the paint, and what sides I want to paint, what sides I'm going to. Some of them I do hand paint as well, because like Ninja Turtles, right? I don't want to border around the little Teenage Mutant Ninja across the top.
Right.
So I just raise those letters and I hand paint them white on top of the
Wow.
raised at a later time, right? So I have to almost backwards engineer about how do I want to make this sign. So the sword Excalibur one has been a little elusive, but I am going to figure it out soon.
Okay.
So that's one of them. What's your other?
The other one, so you were talking about Galactus, and again, you can see him behind me. But
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite eras of Marvel was that mid 2000s Annihilation era, and
Mm-hmm.
that was probably one of like my favorite Marvel sagas for a number of years. And it to me it has a definitive start point and definitive end point. And
Yeah.
there's been cosmic stuff since then. So while I'd like the Galactus sign, I would, because in front of my Galactus, which is a little hard to see on Zoom, are like all the that era Guardians of the Galaxy, Nova from that era, the
Mm-hmm.
Annihilation characters. So would you ever do like an Annihilation sign? And if you pull one out, I'm gonna die. So
No, no, I don't have that yet. That is not actually, nobody has ever asked me for that.
okay,
So I'm definitely on board to give that a shot. Yeah, so I just got to look it up. So if you have a specific version of that logo with specific colors or anything like that, shoot me a message with it so I can see if
oh,
it's something that I
you,
can put together for you. I'd be
you
glad
know what's
to.
gonna happen now.
Yeah. So no, I'm totally for it. Like right now, like commissions, for the most part, commissions for custom signs, like people's logos. I have so many people that want me to make their logos for this thing that they do, or that club that they do, or this that they do, or this podcast that they do, and I'm so behind on those kind of things. And honestly, for me to take the time to do the design and everything else for a one-off sign it's not really worth a lot of my time, but I still try to do it, especially for the people that I've become close with. But right now those kind of commissions are closed. But new like new logos, as far as things that I can put on a table, things that other people collect, I'm always open to taking those suggestions, and based on the difficulty of those I will try to put it up higher or lower depending on the difficulty and intricacies of it. So yeah, shoot me an Annihilation sign, let me see what it looks like. If it's something that I can put together quickly, maybe I can have it for the next time I see you at a show.
Hey, there we go. I'm planning on. I think it's the New Jersey Toy Con in early
Yes, June
May.
10th. No, June 10th. He
Oh,
moved it.
they moved it.
Moved it.
I didn't
Yes.
know they moved it. That's good to know.
It was
Because
supposed to be the first weekend of May,
yeah,
and it was supposed to be at Wayne, as it always is.
yeah.
It has been moved to June 10th at the Parsippany Pal, back to where it
Oh,
originated. Yes.
when it was at the Parsippany when I sold there, we're talking 7, 8 years
Oh.
ago now,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, I've never been to that one.
it was
So
a really nice venue. It
I
was
heard I
huge.
heard he had like video games set up, and
Yeah,
yeah, I heard it was really nice. So
yeah. It
I
was.
think there's a spot for food trucks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was almost like a YMCA that had a big parking lot in front. So there was like
Right.
one section that had like a video game tournament thing going on.
Yeah.
There was an open parking lot that they may have had food trucks in. I that part I'm blanking on. But then
Hmm.
my friend was selling with me, and we were in this small room, and we thought that was it. And we kept seeing these hundreds of people coming in and out. And we're saying, where the hell are these people coming from? And we literally walked out of the room, turned right, and there was this huge gymnasium, you know, filled
Hmm.
with people. And we were like, oh, here's where all the people are.
Right.
But that ended up being a great show. A friend of mine at the time, he was getting rid of his Masters of the Universe classics, and he just I think he priced them all at like $8 or something. He sold everything
Wow.
that he had.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
he
not
had it all.
uncommon. I've seen people come by the entire table at shows. I've seen guys selling GI Joes, like vintage Joes, and I've seen people come and just say, "How much for everything?" And then the guy's just like, "What?" And then that's like on a Saturday of a 2-day show. He's
Right.
got to go home. What are you going to do the second day?
Yeah.
And that's amazing when I see stuff like that happen. There are people out there for it, you know. So good on him for selling all his motus. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was I
That's
think he
cool.
was happy to get to let him go and happier with the money that he made made off of.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so that was moved to June 10th, which was disappointing because I was actually going to try to go do the Maryland Toy Expo,
Okay.
which is June 10th down in Maryland, Timonium, Maryland, just outside of Baltimore. And literally, I was talking to the organizer and I was setting up payment for them. And then I don't know what I was doing, but then I went on Instagram and I saw that the ToyCon had been moved to June 10th to Parsippany. I was like, oh man, like that's my bread and butter. Like that show, you know, like that's the show like I'm already committed to. So I had to go back to the Maryland team and say, you know, hey, sorry, I can't make your June 10th show because of a scheduling conflict. And they're like, let me guess, ToyCon New Jersey, because they just changed the date, right? And I was like, yes, that's
Oh
exactly
wow.
what it was, you know. So they knew. And then I have a lot of other vendors again that I'm close with that have already committed and paid for their table in Maryland. So they're really upset that they're not going to be able to get up to New Jersey, ToyCon New Jersey, because of the move of the date. But you know, it is what it is. I'm glad that I caught it beforehand because you know, ToyCon is definitely a big one. But I definitely this year is my year for branching out. I want to get out in Maryland. I want to get up to maybe Boston area
Oh nice.
during the summer. That you know, it's got to be within 4 hours. Like
Yeah.
that's my radius is 4 hours from where I'm at because you know, I don't want to spend too much on hotels, you know, like one night at a hotel, 2 nights at a hotel, but then I have to drive home on Sunday after the show,
Right.
you know, and that's, you know, I don't want to be show ending at 5 o'clock and then me getting home at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Show ends at 5, I can be home by 9, 10 o'clock, then that's all good, you know.
Right.
It's a long day. It's a long day, you know,
Definitely.
being at the show and then having to drive home.
Speaking
So
of
yeah.
the shows, and I'm not trying to knock you, but you know, like because I picture like I mentioned, I had sold at that show. My friend and I came in with
Mm-hmm.
crates and crates of stuff, and then you know, as stuff got emptied, like oh, okay, you know, we don't need this crate. I'll take it home tonight, and then we want to bring it back tomorrow. But
Yeah.
do you have? I mean, because your inventory, I know you have a lot of it, but it's thin compared to bulky boxes, figures, statues,
Yes.
comics, whatever
Yeah. Yeah.
people bring. So how is loading in and out for you? Is it
It's
is it
great. It's great. I am I'm a minimalist.
okay?
Okay. You know, but with background graphic design, my dad was a contractor, so I'm really handy. I know my way around saws and wood and all that stuff. So, my displays, if you remember at Legion's Con, you know, I had those two big walls and then the span across the top.
Yeah.
All of that breaks down and fits onto one Harbor Freight cart.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so my whole table display and all of my bins, I have gotten down to an art of packing it onto one Harbor Freight cart, and I'm in and I'm out in one trip, and it all fits in the back of my SUV. I don't need a U-Haul, I don't need a van. Everything fits in my SUV with room to spare. So and all of my bins and everything, I've got it really down pat to you know setting it all up. And all the other vendors watch me pack up, and they're like, "I hate you." You know, or they're making multiple trips with hand trucks and boxes of toys and everything else, and I'm just like, I stack it all up. I throw a strap over the whole thing and lock it all together. I just wheel it right out to the car, and I'm out. You know,
That's
so
great, man.
yeah. So packing up, you know, shows is definitely you know as I build more inventory, I've grown a lot. You know, like
Right.
I used to just have like one of those like 3 drawer Sterilite, you know, organizers,
Right.
and I just had that. Yeah, 3 drawers I have in front of me, and I just had that for my first few shows, and now I've got that, and now I'm at 4 bins
Okay.
of the like 8 inch by you know rectangular bins, 8 inch tall bins.
Right.
So I've got 4 of those now. So I am growing, and at some point I might have to make it 2 trips to the car.
Okay.
But
Respectable
right
still.
now, right? Exactly. I try to, you know, I have so many new designs now, you know, and you never know what's going to sell at a show. So I try to have at least 3 or 4 of as many popular designs as I can on my table. Um, so, but yeah, to answer your question, that's how I pack out for a show. It's all very minimalist.
Nice. And you know, just again thinking back to Legion's Con, like looking at the people who had the dioramas and all this stuff. Like I
Oh
couldn't
God,
imagine what
yeah,
went into packing all that up and out.
yeah.
And you here you
The,
are, you're one little.
these guys have castles and mountains, and I'm just like, oh my God, like a lot of the smaller dios, they lock together magnets, and stuff like
Right.
that. But some of those guys, man, they had like mountainsides, and yeah, they're the guys that have the U-Hauls and
Yeah.
the vans, or the Sprinter vans, or they're renting a U-Haul van for the weekend. So a lot of guys do that.
And speaking of Legions Con, was that your first Legions Con this year?
So I did Legions Con when it was at Toy Con,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So Legions Con was always a branch off of Toy Con. So I was on the Toy Con side, not the Legions Con side. So 2020 and 2020, no, 2020 was COVID. So 2021 was Legions Con there. And then last year they had Legions Con as the separate show.
Right.
So it was everybody's first Legions Con as a standalone
Oh, I
show.
didn't realize. Okay.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
so there's the first standalone show, not part of ToyCon New Jersey.
Okay.
So in 2021, they kind of had two legions. The Four Horsemen always show up for the ToyCon, so
Yeah.
they'll be there in June. But it's not a Legions Con; they're just showing up there as vendors.
Right.
But they're dedicated. They have a show exclusive figure, all that stuff. That's always in the fall, and that was the other side of the Wayne Pal during ToyCon New Jersey's fall show in 2021.
Okay.
And it just got so big that they had to branch off to their own show. So yes, that was my first dedicated Legions Con last year.
Yeah, I was not prepared.
No, me neither. No, you know what, Dan? I don't think anybody was prepared. No, nobody I spoke to, none of the vendors, none of the guests, nobody I think was prepared for just how big and amazing Legions Con was. So many of my fellow vendors, myself included, sold out on day one of so much stuff
Oh wow.
that Sunday was just kind of like more of a social day, because we just had no idea. We were so underprepared, and I think part of that goes to being part of ToyCon New Jersey. People were rationing their money more, right? People would come to ToyCon and Legions Con split, right? They'd go to Legions Con and then they'd walk the floor of ToyCon. And so they weren't spending all their money dedicated just to Legions and Legions specific stuff
Right.
and the vendors at Legions Con. So those vendors, you had all of the customizers, the diorama guys, the 3D printed heads and parts and weapons and stuff, all in the Legions Con side. And then all the toy side stuff was that Toy Con part. And so people were rationing their money and not spending it all in one place. Whereas Legions Con, I think we all still had that mentality that people weren't going to come and just spend, drop tons of cash. And people came and they just dropped tons of cash at Legions Con. People had wagons,
Yeah.
and they were just buying, and then they were taking it back up to their room, and then they were buying more, and then they were taking it back up to their room. And it's just, we weren't prepared.
Yeah, and I think that's what blew me away. Like, I'm basically giving Legions Con, a cheap pop for right now,
They deserve the plug, man.
No,
they definitely deserve the plug.
They do great stuff. But I had Cornboy on the show, and he
Mhm.
kind of mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, all right, I'll check it out. And I only have a couple Legions figures. I do the
Right.
He-Man homages. That's
Oh,
where
yeah,
I'm
me
drawing
too.
the
They're my
line.
main ones. Mine as well. Yes.
Yeah. And I went thinking, all right, maybe I can track some of these down, whatever. I think I brought $200 in cash. I bought stuff from you, so some of it went to you right away. But yeah, like I was online for the exclusives line, which
Yes.
where you could get some of like the Motu homages. And
Yep.
I'm online, and I was online for an hour and a half, so you end up chatting with people. I'm the kind of guy I'll make friends with anybody. And the guy in front of me is like, "Oh yeah, my wife and I drove out from California," and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
For Legion, for Mythic Legions?" They're like, "Oh yeah, this is great." Like, I didn't realize how dedicated their fan base is. And then the guy,
I knew that. Yeah, I knew that, but I still wasn't.
Yeah,
but
like
came from other countries,
Yeah.
Like,
and then, like, the guy two people up the line, when he got to the table, dropped like $800, and I'm just like, what is happening?
Yeah. without batting an eye,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I get it if they save all year for this stuff and they want the
And
exclusive,
that's what
they're
they
getting
do.
some for their friends back home, whatever. I
Yeah.
get it. But like I've never seen a more dedicated like fan base to a toy line like this,
Oh yeah.
to the point where like I want to go again next year, just because like it was, again, I'm not going all in.
I'm booked.
I'm controlling myself, but like
Yeah.
I want to be in that atmosphere where everybody is just so into this one
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Like it was a really cool experience.
And the atmosphere, it was just, I know, I have toy group chats on Instagram. So, some I have different group chats all through Instagram that have at least a dozen people in them. And we're talking about Legions Con, and Trevor, 1/6 shooter, he's the photographer for the Mythic Legions, and he's in one of our toy groups, and we all chat. And so many people are coming out because of Legions Con last year and what a blast it was, and everybody talking about it. More people are going to be at this one, and it's at a bigger venue.
Yep.
It's going to be it's going to make last year's look like a garage sale, Dan.
Oh
Honestly,
wow.
it's going to make last year look like a garage sale. And all the other vendors I'm talking to, like, we're prepping now. Like, we are starting now. This is like our homage, what is it when you go on a pilgrimage? This is our
Pilgrimage.
pilgrimage.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, this is our pilgrimage to Legions Con. It's just going to be a blast, man. Like, there's going to be so many people that are coming in from New York and Canada, and really, they're just coming from everywhere. Florida, North Carolina. It's an amazing show. The people are passionate. They're not jerks.
Right.
Like, just they're elitists in toy communities.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
people that only buy SHF. There are people that only buy Mafex. There are only people that buy Hot Toys. And they're all elitists basically, and they're just like, oh, I'm not going to touch Marvel Legends. Like, no, these guys at the Mythic Legions guys, the Cabal, if you will,
Yeah.
on Facebook, and the Cabal team, they're just like, they're the coolest people. They collect everything. They're just, again, not a bad bone in any of them. They're all really cool people. So we went off on a tangent about Mythic Legions and Legions Con, but yes, I'm booked. That's going to be November 10th and 11th, I believe it is,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken, and it's going to be in. I think it's in Parsippany or somewhere along those lines. So, going to be a great show. So if you haven't yet, get your tickets. There's still some rooms. They have a block of rooms at a crazy great rate. So I ended up I'm going to stay at the hotel this time. Last year at the La Quinta, the room rates were better, but not as good as like an off-site hotel that I got.
Right.
But these ones are on par if you use their code. So if you're thinking about going to Legions Con, check them out. Get their code for the room. If you don't know the code, message me. I'll get it for you. And the room rates are really reasonable. And it's going to be a hell of a show, man. It's going to be great. And looking forward to seeing you there, and ToyCon and all the other good shows.
There we go. Well, I think we're going to take just a quick break. We'll pause for some station ID. And then we'll come back. We'll chat a little bit about some recent toy news, maybe some things we've picked up recently, and we'll talk a little bit more with Damion from DBlakeMakes. All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. As always, I'm still Dan. This is still the Rock Nerd Radio Show, and I'm still being joined by Damion from DBlakeMakes. And we've been having just a great chat about toys, everything that you do, and some funny stories aside and things like that. So once again, thank you for being here. I do appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Yeah, I do appreciate you having me here. It's great times. It's a perfect time too. My kids are in bed. My wife is a teacher, so she's kind of just chilling out. So she wants her time away from the kids and to decompress. So it's perfect timing for us. So thank you again for having me, and I'm glad it all worked out for us.
My pleasure, man. So I know, aside from all the cool stuff that you're producing for our shelves and all the fun that you're having doing that, you are also a toy collector.
Mm-hmm.
If you're watching this, I'm gonna throw the video chat up on YouTube. But if you are watching, I can see behind you there are numerous Spider-Man things behind you.
Yeah.
So if I had to guess,
that's behind me. You should see in front of me. I have
really?
a 12-foot. I have a 12-foot shelf that is just all Spider-Man. It's everything Spider-Man. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I'm assuming that's like your bread and butter when it comes to Marvel.
Yeah, I'm a webhead. Yeah.
Nice. And it,
I have a few X-Men stuff, like I always tell myself I want to get in, like we talked earlier about the X-Men, like 97, stuff like that, like the old cartoon, like I love that. And
yeah,
I really wanted to get all the VHS figures of the X-Men because I like that look. I like that everyone complains about the cell shading. I like that. Like I like it to look like a cartoon, right?
cool.
So like I always tell myself I want to get those and I always put them in my cart. And then I look at the price and I'm like, maybe not. So like I'd rather buy something else with that. So, but I do have a couple off. I have a couple X-Men. I have a couple Batman figures, and more so to take pictures with my signs. They my signs look good on their own, but nothing sells them like having a picture with a figure in front of them.
Right.
So I started that. I bought a Batman figure when the first wave of DCU McFarlane's came out. I bought the Batman and the Joker figures. I was like, these are pretty cool. And now I've got like 7 Batman figures. Like I was like, I already have 3 of these. I might as well get the other ones and get the build a figure. And that's how we go down the rabbit hole.
I feel like especially with that DC McFarlane line, like you're bound to own a Batman because there's one in every wave.
Oh,
I don't
easy.
buy that much DC stuff. I think I got 2. So
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I've got a little mini DC shelf, and now I'm just like, then I got a Nightwing because I have a Nightwing sign, and then I got a Red Hood because I have a Red Hood sign. And I was just like, I want to. So then now I'm getting into signs, and I'm just like, okay, well I've had my fun with them. Now I'm gonna trying to sell them off. So I think at my next show I'm gonna do 2 tables, and I'm gonna have a table for my signs and a table for my figures. So
nice.
hopefully we'll
That's a
see. That's the plan.
that's a good way to do it. But aside from stuff that you may have purchased for to show off your signs, have you purchased anything recently that's kind of taken you by surprise or even a
Yeah.
letdown?
Um, Letdowns. Not really any letdowns.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, not really. I've got a couple things here. I mean, I'm a collector of many things. I've got Alf here. So
Oh,
I'm
nice.
big. I like nostalgia hits me right in the nostalgia. It's just everything hits me as my childhood. So Alf, this figure came out and I was like, I gotta have him. Like I gotta have Alf. And then that inspired an Alf. Uh-oh. Just touched a wet paint sign. Uh-oh, I touched another one. Well, they're gooey. I have an Alf sign over there. Now
Awesome.
I've paint on my fingers.
I see. Yeah.
But yeah, so I made an Alf sign because I have Alf, and so that's one of my newer figures, and he's awesome. What else do I have? Oh, I got this guy. Oh, I'm trying not to get paint on my hands. I gotta wipe this paint off my hand. I don't want to get paint on my new figures. All right.
We got to keep them in good condition.
I know, right? I got this big guy. This is the Fury. I don't know how you want to pronounce it. Furay Furry toys from 5K Toys. This is Crocker.
Oh
He's
wow.
it's like a third party Leatherhead
I was gonna
and
say
or
it
Killer
looks like
Croc.
Leatherhead. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be Killer Croc or Leatherhead. He has accessories and parts that you can turn him into either or.
Oh
So
wow.
he's got a giant knife if you want to make him Leatherhead, and he's got a giant shotgun if you want to make him, or vice versa, Killer Croc. So and he's got handcuffs. That's it. He's got handcuffs if you want to make him Killer Croc. He's got shotgun and knife if you want to make him Leatherhead. So all these different accessories. Really, really cool figure. I only collect movie turtles. I don't collect any of the cartoon turtles
Okay.
aside from Usagi Yojimbo because he is my favorite. So, but I couldn't go down that rabbit hole of Toon Turtles, but I have every movie turtle that NECA made, right?
Right.
So I thought this would be a really cool, real looking, movie looking Leatherhead for my movie turtle display.
Yeah,
So
that's
I got
cool.
this. So they have a couple other figures coming out. They have what is it? A samurai tiger. A lot of cool stuff. These guys. So 5K Toys got that from there. Actually, I got that from Big Bad Toy Store. And what else do I have? I've got it's been light. This year's been light for me actually. 2023. I got Tigra. I have the entire line of
Oh, the
Thundercats.
yeah, is that the Super
Super
7
7.
Ultimates?
Yeah, so Super 7. I've got the clear Tigra here. This is a new unboxing. I haven't even opened this yet.
There we go.
Right. Exclusive. Rock Nerd Radio exclusive. Pew, pew, pew. Do all your soundboards.
Hey, you know what? I need one. It wouldn't be a bad thing to have, right?
Yeah, man. So I have all of I didn't get the Thunder Tank because that's like $450, and it's just a big hunk of plastic that I don't have room for. So
yeah, I saw one of the reviews of it, and like I don't know where I would have put something. Like I don't buy the Super 7 Thundercats. I love Thundercats, but like I don't know where I would have put something. That's what I said.
The nostalgia for me. It's the nostalgia hits me so hard, man. And Thundercats was one of my all-time favorite cartoons. So I have the entire team right there.
I was gonna say, I saw them behind you.
Yeah, I don't have the like the offset characters like the Snowman,
right?
Those guys like Poomra, just the main characters, But then when they had this Big Bad Toy Store exclusive clear Tigra,
wow,
because his power is turning invisible,
yeah.
So I had to have him. So I got him.
That's
so he's one of the only non like main characters, I guess you will.
Right.
So, but if he's anything like the other Tigra, I'm going to say he's a letdown. So you said any of them letdowns. Tigra was my biggest letdown of the entire line because his articulation is very, very poor compared to the other figures. Yeah, compared to the other figures in the line. And he's supposed to be the most nimble and agile of all the Thundercats.
Yeah, when I think of the show, that's what I picture.
Yeah, Chitara is supposed to be fast, but as far as like athletics go, I always felt like Tigra was the athletic guy, and you can't even bend his legs to put him in a seating position.
Oh,
so I saw somebody post a picture of Tigra in the backseat of the Thunder Tank, and I was like, "How'd you get him in there? Because he can't bend his legs." And he said, "Movie magic." So I don't know what that means. So
I think that means they broke his legs.
That's exactly what it means. He popped the legs off or something. That's all I've got so far this year in 2023. Very light for me so far this year as far as collecting goes. So I got Tiger, I got the Crocker, and I've got the Alf. They were all like pre-orders though,
right,
from 2022. Yeah. So I have not purchased a figure yet this year. That's going to change with Haulathon. Right now, we've got NECA Haulathon going on right now, and I'm also a big Gremlins guy. Like I like the Gremlins.
Okay.
And they re-released the Spider Gremlin.
Oh.
And yeah, so from the new batch from Gremlins 2, and if you didn't get him on the first release, he's going for like $200-300. He was going for. Yeah. So now that they did a re-release, I was like, I need him. So my buddy Matthew Toy and Jay Shot from their own show Between Two Sentinels, which is on right now while we're doing this, they did a little hunting in Staten Island and they found the Spider Gremlin for me. So that's coming to me. So that's gonna be my first thing of the year. I know we talked offline, but we can go into it here. The Hasbro Hasbro Pulse reveals today.
There was a big old Hasbro stream where they showed off stuff we knew that was coming, and then they showed off stuff that we didn't know was coming. And I think we'll circle back to the Spider-Man stuff since that's kind of your bread and butter. But they showed a lot of Avengers stuff.
20+ figures today.
Yeah. And while they're showing the Avengers stuff, I don't know if you can see the Fin Fang Foom that's behind me.
Oh yeah.
There we go. But right now, that's kind of just like where I have Iron Man and some of his different armors, and underneath it is
he's your placeholder, huh?
Yeah. But like I literally, I'm trying to cut back on Legends because in certain areas I feel like I have everyone I could ever want, and I'm kind of saturated. I feel like, but as they're doing that live stream today, I'm sitting there thinking, well, if Damien's got an Avengers sign, I could put it where the Hall of Armor. Yeah, I know you're gonna pull one. There we go. Oh, that's the one I'd want. But I was like, I could take down the Hall of Armor that I have over there. I could put the Avengers there and maybe add a couple of those figures they showed today, like the Super Adaptoid looks cool. That's something I've kind of been excited, hoping we get for a while. But yeah, they definitely showed a few that I was like, ooh, and I could, I could buy some of the like the risers and have characters standing to see them real well. Right. It's like the wheels started turning today, and like here I am trying to be like, no, I got to back off, but it's like, no, you could do this with your display and it would look real cool. but then they
especially with a baby on the way.
yeah, exactly. That is a big factor of it.
Baby formula, Marvel Legends.
Marvel, you know,
Baby formula, Marvel Legends.
kids can't drink Marvel Legends. So.
Hun, we can breastfeed, right?
but but then I guess the middle of that they did show off a new I guess Spider-Man wave. They didn't talk about a build a figure if it is all one wave
No.
or not, but they showed off quite a bit. And when it comes to Spider-Man, do you kind of skew more classic or are you just everything Spider-Man?
Everything. It's just down the line, man.
Okay.
Like if it's got a web on it, it's for me. You know, you can't even see, but I've got the most ridiculous Spider-Man things just because they're Spider-Man. People buy me Spider-Man things just because it's Spider-Man. It could be knockoff stuff. If
Right.
it's like Supaido Man, it's just like it's like a Japanese knockoff or something. Like people just get those for me. So like, yeah, I'm all in on the Spidey stuff. I wasn't always that way. Again, before COVID hit, I was just kind of very, very picky and choosy. I was like, I only need one Spider-Man figure. I only need like the definitive Spider-Man. And that time, that was just Pizza Spidey,
At the
right?
time
Pizza
it was.
Spidey was the definitive Spider-Man figure. I was like, I'll get Ben Riley because he's Ben Riley. That's cool. But I don't need any more Spideys. I don't need any more Ben Rileys. And then I was like, punk, what is this? What is this punk rock, punk Spider-Man? I
Yeah.
don't need that stupid punk rock Spider-Man. I don't need the PS4 Spider-Man. I don't need any of those. Like Spider-Man UK, what's that? I don't need
Yeah.
that. I don't need any of those. I'm just going to focus on my main Spider-Man and all the villains. Like I want all the villains, right? Because they're different.
Yeah.
Well, I got all the villains. Now what am I supposed to do?
Finish getting all the Spider-Man.
So now I've got a section that's all Spider-Man and a section that's all villains. And I've got Webman, Spider-Man UK, anti-op Spider-Man. I don't do a lot of MCUs. That's one thing I don't do.
Yeah, I've tried to not do that as well.
The MCU is not really a thing for me. I don't care for the real life look of figures. But that said, I did get some because they're part of a wave,
Mhm.
right? They're part of a build a figure wave. So like got the
Yeah.
Molten Man. The Molten Man was a MCU build a figure. So I have the integrated suit. I have a couple of those. I did get the J. Jonah Jameson because I
Right.
love that dude. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. That's right in
Uh,
the top of my head. Uh, you know
now
it
that I have to say it, I'm
with the
blanking on.
mustache. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I
and
know who you're
everyone
talking about.
listening to this is
J.K.
yelling his
Simmons.
name. Yes, yes. So, so I got that figure, and he goes with my cartoon or animated J Jonah. So, not a lot of MCUs, but as far as the comics go, I have them all: Cyborg, Spider Man, Future Foundation Spider-Man, Bagman,
Yep.
Negative Spider-Man. I'm looking at them now. I have them all. I have them all. So when it came to the release today and the new Ben Riley costume, gotta have it. The animated Spider-Man and Carnage, Venom and Carnage or whatever, Black Suit Spider-Man, I gotta have it. Aunt May, I'm not a fan of the face.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah. I
I'm a
was.
fan
I
of the
was.
face.
I was telling a friend of mine that that looks like a the face of an Aunt May who walked in on Peter and Mary Jane the night before and now doesn't know how to talk to them.
Go get him, Tiger. Oh,
It's,
that's a really good face. That's a
it's,
good face. That's
I,
not how I'm going to see it now.
yeah, and the thing is, and it's driving me up a wall. People, myself included, have been wanting Doctor Octopus with bendy wires, and I know you
Yep.
mentioned you have on your Instagram stories a how
A
to
mod hack. Yeah.
a mod.
Mm-hmm.
So if people want to check out maybe a different way to do it, go follow
Yep.
DBlakeMakes. But yeah, like it's I feel like that's gonna be like a $50-$60 set, and all
Easy.
I want are the tentacles. Like
Yep.
I like Doc Ock in that suit, but I try to stick to like really comic based, and that was the '90s
Yeah.
animated show, which I love.
Yeah.
Big part of my growing up. But that
But it
Aunt
doesn't
May,
fit your collecting, and I respect that
yeah,
absolutely. There are things that don't fall into my like. I like it. It's cool. I want maybe one of those figures or whatever. It's just it doesn't fit into what I collect. So
right.
yeah, I'm with it. But yeah, I'm all about it. I'll have them all. In fact, I've I've decided now that they're doing all these animated figures. I will now branch off of that, and I will dedicate a shelf just for the animated series figure.
There you go.
So that's going to be another breakout that I'll do, and I'll have the animated series. And I already have the animated series logo, which is basically the comic logo. Like they're the same. But people are like, "Oh, that's I want the comic one." I'm like, "That is a comic one. I don't want the animated one, but they're the same. That's the comic one. It's the same damn thing."
If anything, the comic the cartoon one is like a little more like
bent or jagged. Yeah,
there you
like
go, jagged,
pointy, jaggedy, pointy, yeah. But yeah, so I'll put a sign for that too, and that'll be my animated shelf because I've already got animated Spidey, the Walmart exclusive that nobody could ever find.
Oh, that no one can find, and we're murdering each other for. Yes, of course.
Yeah, pretty much. They're two per store. Stupid. So I got him, and then I've got the retro Venom with the cell shading.
Right.
So the Scorpion, I've got him. So I've got them all so far. Rhino. So I definitely want a Kingpin, and I want to just put them all together on an animated.
Yeah. So some of those retro card ones, I will say, I did buy because I like the look of them better than the regular ones we got. Like Kingpin with purple and not just all white, so much better in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Yep. Like I got the Rhino because that's a Build-A-Figure you couldn't touch, for under $200. Just getting the left arm or the right arm was costing you like $120. Like, you kidding me? Just for the arm? Like, come on, just give me the arm.
I will say when that initially came out, because there were two different heads, I was like, I want to be able to display both. So I bought two of everyone in that wave.
Did you really?
The person who came with the head. So for the longest time I had two. And recently I was like, you know what? Like I found one of the extra heads or something. So I sold a complete Build-A-Figure right before that retro one came out. And like, I was still surprised, like, because I think the retro one had been announced. So I was still surprised anybody really wanted it. But I was like, right, like, I'm not going to complain if you want to give me money.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, people offload them now because, the retro card comes out and they're like, oh, I got to sell this now while I can, and trying to make top dollar for it, So I got the retro Rhino, and then I got somebody was selling the Build-A-Figure for $60.
Wow.
So with both heads.
Wow.
So I had to.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I got him, and then the retro.
Nice.
So, because I like the look of the Build-A-Figures heads. And I like that goofy cross-eyed head too.
I like the screaming head. It adds like an emotion to it.
I like the pauldrons on the shoulders, so he's got a good look to him. But then I also like, on the retro card, I like, that he's got fists, he's got open hands, like Hulk hands.
I gotta say,
not just two fists.
So nice.
Absolutely.
I didn't get
and then the facial expression.
I am envious. Yeah, the face is good.
So he's good. So I got two of him. I've got another one. I've got to the point. I'm an open box collector, but now I've gotten to the point too where like I like them in the package too, and they look really nice. And some of them hold their value in case of a rainy day. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or if I want to help out a friend who didn't get it at the time, which I've done many times. So I've ended up getting two of a lot of these figures. So it's like one to rock and one to stock.
Right.
So I do that now. So. But yeah, I love, going back to the stream today, the Bendiok I could do without, but he's going to have his place on my animated shelf now.
Yeah.
That Aunt May face is not the animated May's face. They made a big deal about using the facial technology and everything. I'm like, well, then whose face are you copying? And I think they said they're trying to go more towards the comic look on that, and they didn't. It's in that animated box, that VHS box that's supposedly be animated. But I watched the stream again, and they specifically said comic. They're trying to go for comic looks. So they're contradicting themselves. I think they're contradicting themselves. And they could change, you know. They said they're not even giving dates on them yet because, it's just kind of a preview right now.
Right.
So actually, no, I think that goes up for sale tomorrow.
I think that's the only thing that goes up for sale tomorrow, right?
That's going up tomorrow, actually, now that I thought about it. Yeah. I was thinking of the Avengers set. They said they're not giving any details on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm wondering because they seem to be moving a little bit away from like waves with Build-A-Figures and doing a lot of exclusive
retro card
figures,
or
two
yeah,
packs, whatever.
deluxe. Yeah, deluxe figures or
Yeah.
2 packs. Yeah.
So I'm wondering how much of what we saw today is going to be two packs and special editions, and how many are going to be like actual single release figures. The one thing that without a doubt, and I have no problem admitting to this one, I know I'm going to buy right away is that Secret Wars Doctor Doom. Secret Wars
Right.
is my
He looks
favorite toy
great.
line ever, and to have a
Yeah.
Marvel Legends representation of that armored Doom, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, and see that's where you start getting the Secret Wars muddied everything up because it
Yeah,
just brought everything together now, right? So like I have some Spider-Man, like I have like a Moon Knight and I have a Daredevil because they're part of the Spider-Man universe,
right.
right? But now you're going to go into Secret Wars, and technically everything is a Spider-Man figure now. So
Yeah,
I'm like, do I want the goddamn Doom? I'm sorry, do I want the
yeah, that's
do
okay.
I want the? I'm like, do I want the damn Doom figure because he kind of would fit in the Secret Wars thing because of the Spider-Man and the black suit and all that stuff. So
Yeah,
man, okay, I got to draw the line somewhere, man. You know, like
right.
I gotta draw the line somewhere and just say no. I can't go down
I
that
got that,
rabbit hole.
and I respect that. But again, going back to your signs, at some point I might come looking for a Secret Wars sign.
I That's been requested many times, and it is one on my to do list. It's in. I have a folder of like
Right.
logos that I just put in of my to dos, and it's already in there. So
Awesome.
stay tuned for that.
Because I'll buy one for the original Secret Wars toy line, and then one for Doctor Doom to stand on all by himself. So
By himself, he gets his own sign. I'll
until
do
they
it in
give us
Doom Green
more, like,
too.
oh,
Right? See,
my heart.
I can do it, man. That's it. I'll
I
do
love it.
special one-offs. I've been actually some people have been asking me for some really crazy color schemes on some of these signs. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. I can do it, you know?
Right.
And now I've actually started originally I not originally. I said to myself, this is getting out of hand. I need a way to make these faster. Because I 3D print every one of them, and each one
Right.
takes 4 hours to print or more.
Wow.
Yeah, so one sign, like one Marvel sign, takes 4 hours, and I'll put a dozen of them on my bed, and so now I'm looking at a full day's worth of printing.
Right.
But it's fine. I set it up and I go to bed, and they're ready in the morning. It's like Christmas.
Right.
Um, sometimes you get a lump of coal though, and that's not fun.
Yeah.
But so I said I got to make these faster. So I made basically a mold. I made one Marvel sign. I made a couple of my more popular signs, and I had a whole bunch of white filament left. And I was like, I'm going to make a master mold. Basically, I'm going to right. I'm going to make a mold out of silicone, and I'm going to try to make these in resin instead of 3D printing them.
Oh.
And then I can start playing with resin. I can do like glow in the dark resin. I can go down a whole nother rabbit hole. I said, let me try this. And then I tried one, and the mold was okay. And it just wasn't something that I want to do. And then I looked at the price of resin and the cure times. And I said, well, now I'm right back to where I was 3D printing these.
Right.
Right. So, and I already know how to do what I'm doing. Why do I need to? I don't need to learn another skill. Right. So now I have these molds, these master proofs, if you will, all in white filament because I had so much white filament left
Mhm.
that it wouldn't really work for a display. Who wants a white bordered X-Men sign? Who
Right.
wants a white this or that? So I said, you know what? Let me grab it real quick. I'm going to make artist proofs. I'm going to do an artist proof. So here's my regular. Oh,
Oop.
good catch, Marty
There was
Brodeur.
your regular Marvel sign.
Got it. Here's my regular Marvel sign, and then I had the white, the mold that I was going to make into a mold, and I said, let me make it reverse,
Oh, cool.
right?
Yeah.
So I said, this is a one-off. It's a one of a kind only artist proof that I'm going to call an artist proof. Basically, it's a reverse of the regular Marvel,
Right.
and I'm going to sign the back. I'm going to number it 1 of 1, sign it, date it, all that stuff. And go to one lucky person that wants it, and it's already been claimed.
Awesome.
So I put it up on my Instagram. I said this is going to be a 1 of 1, and it got claimed within minutes,
Right.
honestly. And so he's just going to wait to see me at a show so I can give it to him. So he doesn't want me to ship it because he wants to peruse my table.
Right.
But yeah, so a little something different I'm doing is artist proofs because it's, people like unique things, like you can buy a whole bunch of my signs, but you're going to be the only person that has
That
this
has
on
that
your
one.
shelf,
Right.
So,
That's
but
really cool.
I digress. Going into different color schemes for your Doctor Doom Secret Wars, I can definitely do a green one for you. I think that would be very fun. I'm always doing different colors for different people.
Awesome.
Different strokes for different folks.
There we go. Well, I'm looking at the clock, and we've blown past the hour mark, and I don't want to keep you much longer. So
Oh, we're on a time limit? You keep this to an hour?
I try to, but if we
I
go a
know.
little over, we go.
It's all good.
But I want to be respectful of your time as well. But before we wrap up, where can everybody listening and watching, where can they find you?
So I'm on all social media under DBlakeMakes, DBlakeMakes, DBlakeMakes. Because my name is Damion Blake, and I make things. I was going to do a sign, like some kind of sign name or something like that, but I make more than signs, right? I make accessories. I make, little pew pews, 1/6,
Yep.
1/7. So I make accessories for your figures. I make all kinds of things. So I didn't want to just pigeonhole myself into signs. And so I'm Makes, D Blake Makes, and I'm on all social media. I don't do a lot of Twitter. I just kind of just signed up for Twitter just so I can be on like toy news and stuff like that. So I don't really follow a lot of Twitter. I don't do a lot of posting on there. Facebook, I'm okay on, but my main site is Instagram. So I'm mostly on Instagram. I do all of the posting and reels and interactions when talking to people on there. So if you're looking for me there, you can come hang out on Instagram. Follow me there. I do giveaways all the time.
Yes, you
Every
do.
100 followers, I do a giveaway for my signs worldwide, free shipping, a $25 value. I sponsor giveaways for other streams, right? So if you ever want to do a giveaway, Dan, I will gladly sponsor a giveaway for
I
you.
think that is something we're going to have to talk about.
Right. So I'll gladly sponsor a giveaway for you. I sponsor giveaways for other people all the time because, these guys come to me and they're like, we can give away toys anytime. We can give away this. But we want to give away something that's truly unique and is really cool that I think a collector would really admire. So they come to me and ask me if I would sponsor their giveaway. So I'm more than happy to do that as well. I love giving these things away. I like selling them more,
Right.
but I love to get them into everybody's hands. Quick story before we go about that. I was at New York Comic Con this past year, 2022.
There, I didn't see you there.
I was not a vendor.
Oh, okay.
So I was not, and that's why I want to preface that was I was not a vendor. I just went as a fan. But I did put on my social medias that I will be there, and I'm going to take a handful of signs with me. So I took a few X-Men signs and a few Spider-Man signs, a couple other ones. I forgot what it was. And then some that I gave to like Ryan Ting and Dan Yoon at
Yeah, it was
Hasbro.
cool. I got to see them. It was cool to actually talk to those guys.
Yeah, that was cool to see them there. And I gave them a couple signs there as well. So it was really fun to just hand them out. But I told the guys, people on my Instagram and social media that if you see me at New York Comic Con, you recognize me, let's chat, say hi, and I'm going to give you a sign, I'll just give you one, just for saying hi to me,
Right.
And I was at the Plunderlings table talking to the Plunderlings guys because I've become friendly with them. And another guest came over and we ended up all just talking. And he looked and he goes, "You're D Blake Makes." And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I've been following you forever. Oh my God, it's so nice to meet you, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." I was like, "Hey, what do you collect?" I was like, "You a Spider-Man guy?" He's like, "Nah, not really." I was like, "You an X-Men guy?" He's like, "Yeah." So I went in my bag and I handed him an X-Men sign. He goes, he didn't know I was doing the giveaway. He didn't know I was giving these out. I just handed it to him. He goes, "Really, for me? Really? I can have this?" I was like, "Absolutely, yours." Just for saying hi to me and just being cool. I was like, because I'm a drug dealer basically. And if I give you one of these, you're going to come back for more.
Yep.
You're going to go home, you're going to put it on your shelf, and you're going to say, "Damn, that looks good. I want more of these." And sure enough, this guy came back to New Jersey, ToyCon, New Jersey, 2 weeks later. He went to ToyCon NJ, and he said, "I saw you were going to be here. I came here," and he bought 8 more signs for his collection.
That's great.
Right?
That's got to be the best feeling, man.
It is. It is the greatest feeling. And that's why I say I love giving these away, but I love selling them more, but I love giving them away because you can't appreciate them until you have them in your hand and on your display, and seeing them in person. So my greatest compliment is when people come to my table and say, these look so much better in person. They're so accurate. The colors pop, and they just look so great. And I just love that. So, but yeah, thank you for having me. You guys can follow me on any social media as DBlakeMakes. And again, treat your shelf. That's my little tagline. And, I appreciate your time, man, Dan. Thank you.
Of course. Well, thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing you in June at ToyCon.
I will see you there, and we'll be in touch for your annihilation sign.
All right, man. I'll talk to you. We're going to have signs. Yep. I can't wait.
Take care. Thanks.
Take care, man. Have a good one.